ultimate dream is just to make, my disability normalized and not it be a headliner.
I started performing when I was about 10 years old, but before that I'd always kind of wanted to, act and, pretend I was other people. Even if there wasn't an audience, I was just like always performing, in my grandparents' basement or whatever. And my mom has a story, like when I was probably 4 years old, I started asking her if I could be on Sesame Street. And she's like, we have to get you an agent. So I was like, get me an agent. And she didn't. That came later. But yeah, I mean, I've just been doing it since I was really young. It's all I've ever wanted to do. So I'm lucky that I get to.
I wanted to start acting because I thought it'd be fun to play different characters. And when I was really young, I always saw people on TV that are acting, and I decided to go for that dream and it started. And ever since, my parents and my whole family started following me and giving me direction, and they've been supporting me all my life.
I was very much into MTV and mainstream media and magazines, and I collected so many of them. I pretty much could have been on an episode of Hoarders, like how many magazines I had. But as I grew older, I noticed that I didn't see anyone who was like me in mainstream media or in any of the magazines that I collected, which worried me a little bit, especially because of how many millions of people live on this earth and none of it was represented on TV. So when I was thinking about career choices, I decided to take it upon myself to change that and make the industry, which is fashion for me, a little bit more diversified.
Well, my life as an artist began as a dancer. And I started dancing at 2.5. I was very young. I would just clear out my living room in the house, and then I would just dance and follow whatever moves I saw on TV, and I would put everything back after I was done. But once college was over, I decided to veer into the acting world, and then it stuck. And just like you said, Jillian, about the lack of representation out there, I think for the deaf community, you might see one or perhaps two names that appear, but that figure doesn't necessarily represent all of us. And I think it's really important that we start emphasizing that there is diversity of communities, but also within each community.
How do you think the community of entertainers with disabilities is represented in these industries? And then more specifically, how do you think your sub-community within that community is represented?
There's not really, that I've seen, and this is me like watching TV or watching actors for that matter, in a very strong role. It's always someone else helping them or them depending on other people. But it's never someone who is standing on their own 2 feet, for that matter. To put it in words.
No pun intended.
Yeah, exactly.
We're making progress. There's still a long way to go in terms of representing all the different sort of communities of disability that exist. I'm an amputee. I wear a prosthetic leg. And I remember, I can only think of a couple of examples of representation of my particular disability in the media. The first one I remember, he's in bed with a woman who's got a prosthetic leg. He doesn't realize that she's got a prosthetic leg. It comes off in the middle of like an intimate moment. And they do this wide shot where she is crying in shame and hopping toward the bathroom to hide from him. The general sort of intention, I think, of that scene was to make people laugh at how ridiculous that situation was. So that wasn't that long ago. And obviously, I don't think that scene would get made today, but that sort of general sort of like laughing at people with differences still exists. And we need to get beyond that so that people don't think of difference as a joke.
We all deserve an opportunity at doing stuff, even if we're getting made fun of or getting laughed at because of our disability. And I think that everyone needs to have an opportunity of doing like action movies or like TV or commercial because everybody needs a chance at doing stuff.
When we look at the idea of deaf talent, there's a phenomenal number of actors who do not use their voices, but they are not even considered because the producers want somebody who will use their voice instead of allowing the best deaf actor to do the job.
It's, the place of directors and casting people who really need to look beyond what they have been kind of used to and treating people as people and not as what they come with. Because my disability doesn't define who I am. It's just part of me.